Okay, it's another gorgeous day, and it's another day of a dose of Did You Know? And with me today is, oh gosh, such a dear friend of mine, Mr. Mark Anthony King. How are you today?
I am every shade of fantastic that a human being can possibly be.
And as I said, okay, so you are Mr., Miami, Hawaii, going, West Coast all over, and you
Yeah.
are in an outfit that you should be visiting me up in New Hampshire.
1,000%, right? Well, you know what? It's my little tribute to one of my favorite people in the whole world.
No, and he's a sweet talker at that, which I love. So tell me, and well, I know you, but tell the world in a snapshot, who is Mark Anthony King?
Oh boy. In a snapshot, how much time do we have here?
Yeah.
So, it's funny because if you would have asked me this question a year ago, there would have been a lot of esoteric philosophical stuff that I throw around. Mark Anthony King is just somebody who is radically, passionately obsessed with helping people let go of the things that hurt them.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, we can talk about philanthropy, we can talk about creativity, but I think that ultimately it all boils down to who we were destined to be, right? That's our why we were born. And then you've got the other aspect of it, the ego side, which is who we want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that following the who we want to be is a road down so much pain. It's a road down heartache, heartbreak, any kind of, I can say personally, I've been through a lot of abuse in my life, and ultimately every single terrible experience has been a product of me going against God's plan.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so that opens so much, because I agree with everything you say. I mean, our ego is put in place. God gave us an ego for a purpose. Mm-hmm. Now, do we always use our ego for what its purpose is, or do we let our, humanistic side, I always like to call it our humanistic side, kind of take over? But how do you know when you're following God's purpose and you're following your ego purpose? Like, what would you? That's a wicked big open-ended question.
Yes, right. We just jumped right into it.
I got no time for fluff.
No time. And that's one of my favorite things about you. You're like the most real, dynamic, engaged, let's go deep right off the bat person. And that's in my opinion, like one of the most charming, incredible qualities that a human being can have, because it truly means that you don't care about the BS. You don't care about the lies. You want to know, who are you at the core, at the deepest, most raw level?
Yes. Yeah. So what advice would you get? Like, I have mine. So we had this conversation yesterday about when I was trying to, my little, they were like little fairies, little stardust, because they were, and all of them were, I would think of them as that was my purpose. And I would be all in. And then I kind of had this realization, well, there's a lot of different pieces to each of us. And all of those pieces are all part of our purpose. And man, did I let my ego take control of me a lot of times in my life. Oh, I got to go right into this. This is a side note, because your post that I just saw was, because I wanted to write something and I was actually going to talk on it. And I was going to say, please stop posting pictures of yourself in the bathroom. I know we all look hot. Like, we get ourselves and we're like, yeah, guys and girls. Yeah. Wow, I look great. And you want to share it. Yeah. But nobody wants to see you in the bathroom. Like, that's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Your ego pictures.
Absolutely. It's funny because we were having this conversation about, and I just want to touch back on what you said about the fairies and the stardust and everything.
Yes.
We're so complex. We're very simplistic, but we're so complex. We're infinitely more complex than we give ourselves credit for, or than I think we want to truly admit. Because nobody wants to think, oh my God, I'm that messed up, right? So
I do. I'm like, please tell me how messed up I am. I can fix it.
listen, you want to talk about quantum physics, right? I once heard in The Power of Intention that there is order and chaos at the subatomic level. So literally, quantum physics verifies the fact that there is no such thing as broken, because we don't come from a broken space. We don't come from a broken source. We don't operate a broken universe. We might operate a confused universe, but it's still whole. It's still intact. It's still solid and tangible. And when we look at our life, and you use the analogy like fairies and stardust and stuff, I use the analogy of a diamond. And that is, we tend to become hyper fixated on a facet of the diamond. And we tend to think, okay, this one of thousands of facets is who I am. And the intro of a book called The Tao Te Ching says that the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The Tao is both named and nameless. This is illustrating the point that the second you take something infinite and you describe it and you label it and you slap a title on it, and it's human nature because we seek to understand, we seek to comprehend and make sense of things. But when we do that with something infinite, we move so far away from it. Yeah. Further than we were prior to asking the question or labeling it. So, we're so much. And when we become hyper fixated on one facet, right? Because if you want to focus on one facet of the diamond, you got to bring that sucker right here. And when you do that, you really don't even know what you're looking at. You miss the beauty of the precious stone. We become so fixated picking up the rotten apple off the ground and looking at it that we miss the beautiful orchard in front of us. Yeah. And that's also ego. And I can tell you from my personal experience, having been a egomaniac for the majority of my life, openly admit it. The way that I've learned to differentiate between ego and God, pardon me, is whenever we're going to do something, that bathroom selfie, perfect example, right? Prior to posting it, bring a little mindfulness into the equation. Be like a 2-year-old. Ask why. What unhealed part of me wants to do this, and for what purpose? Yeah. More often than not, it's a lack of self-worth. It's the need for validation, right? Because the ego's a singer. It's like me, right? Just doing scales all day. Another massive part of it that I ask myself is, what's my need for announcing this? What's my intended purpose? Because if you're going to post a photograph of yourself, and again, we're going back to selfies because that's the most common thing here. Right. But there's a clear intention and a clear lesson behind it. That's a different story. I mentioned in my post, I'm not saying cover up. If you got it, you want to flaunt it, that's your prerogative, but why? And you'll notice that the moment that you become congruent, the moment that you heal that part of you that needs that validation, that needs that justification, that needs people to tell you that you're worthy, that you're desirable, that you're beautiful, that you're pretty, that you're inherently valuable. The second you transcend that need and that desire, the content of your posts are going to be radically different. And how do you know they're different? Because the response is different. Right. There's far less objectification. There's far less men not behaving like gentlemen because the energy is different. Yeah. You that goes kind of into God. That was so like, these are the conversations when we have them. Always like, you leave me thinking so much. I mean, look, I'm like petting myself. I'm like, and this is us. This is you and me all day. And by the way, can I want to take a moment right now to give a birthday shout out to our mutual beautiful sister.
Yes.
You know who you are, Jurate, the most amazing, talented, kind, compassionate designer, philanthropist, friend, daughter, mother, sister, just all around beautiful human being. If you're watching right now, know that my life is different because of having the pleasure and the honor of knowing you. I love you and I do anything for you.
Oh, she's gonna cry because you're gonna make me cry. She is our love. So when we go back to now, I got to get now I'm like all over the place because now my heart went to somebody, and now I'm like, pull that heart back in. So this goes back into how I say my belief is that everything is interconnected. We all possess, it's a ripple effect, and it goes farther than you can ever imagine. The reach and the touch of that ripple can go farther than ever imagined. So when you show up, because for a selfie, for a post, because I post my pictures of me, people take them all the time. Like that's just and what I say. So I get it. So I'm not saying don't take pictures of yourself. But can you talk a little bit about that energetic ripple that I'm talking about? How it's not just you take this picture and maybe you're more sophisticated, or I'm just putting it in layman's terms, right? Because I'm the kind of person I like just talk very basic here.
I'm a man. I need to be taught basic too.
Please don't use big words. Make me look them up. No, but so you show up because your presence is showing up because you put this mindfulness behind you so that you don't get, hit on inappropriately and people aren't kind of giving you crude comments. And I know that personally because when my mind changed because I was stuck in my outside was my value for so many years. Blah. Like I would get hit on all the time. Now I don't. And I don't think it's because I'm older. It's just, I think I show up differently.
Yeah.
So I understand it. So can you talk about how that energetic ripple effect, how it works?
Yeah.
Or your understanding of it or your comprehension, your 2 cents.
Absolutely. There's a quote that I love by a man named Rumi. And I was doing my best to remember his first name, Jalaluddin Rumi. Anyway, details.
I'm not going to be able to repeat that, but I know Rumi.
Yes, in fact, Mevlana Jalaluddin Rumi is his name. So, brilliant Persian poet, and he said, "Take your cleverness and purchase bewilderment." And Jesus Christ said, "I'll be like children," and this is a quality of just having this zest for life and this deep longing to learn and to experience, where even things that because a child, everything is brand new, everything is exciting and wonderful and beautiful, and everything is magical. Rumi said, it doesn't matter if you're smart, be bewildered. Let life astonish and astound you. So I try my best. Some days are more difficult than others, right? Because we're human, but to live in this state where, you want to talk about quantum ripple effect. Our great-grandparents, both of our mutual great-grandparents, somehow they had to meet. They had to fall in love. They needed to have a baby. Now this baby, remember, it's just one sperm, 1 against 100 million competing for the gift of life. That one had to win that race and receive that gift of life. Now, these 2 individuals had to then find each other in the form of our grandparents. Lather, rinse, repeat. Move on to our parents. Lather, rinse, repeat. Everything needed to happen as it did. If there was one thing different, guess what? We would not be having this conversation right now. If one thing in our great-grandparents' life was different, that's cause and effect. Everything in the universe was intended here. Nothing is by accident. And when you understand that, we have this inherent power. And just like in Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Yeah. Favorite quote.
We have the ability to consciously and massively, powerfully influence our life. We can't create worlds. You know, Les Brown is famous for quoting that you're a masterpiece because you're a piece of the master.
Yes.
We have those inherent gifts and talents and abilities on a much smaller scale. So while we can't create the universe, we can create our universe. Albert Einstein said the most significant decision you'll ever make is to understand and decide whether you live in a friendly or hostile universe. Mm-hmm. Now that's esoteric, coming from the most brilliant, logical, scientific mind of our lifetime. You know, Max Planck, a man dedicated to science as well, won the Nobel Peace Prize, said, there is no matter as such. All matter originates from I forget the quote, but all matter originates from an intelligence, from an intelligent force, from a source. He calls it the matrix behind reality. That is our power. We have the ability to think a thought and create a karmic ripple effect within our body. And think about that. You throw a pebble within the pond of your consciousness, and that ripple effect ripples out. It starts in your belly and it ripples outward, and it keeps working its way out in the form of energy, in the form of how you interact with other people, in the form of what you see in other people, right? Because we can only see in other people what we see within ourselves, and we can only go as deep with another human being as we've gone within ourselves. Pain can recognize pain because it knows pain. You know, I can't describe to a blind person what the color red looks like. I can't. This karmic ripple effect attracts, and again, we're always in a state of attraction.
Yeah.
Whether we want to believe it or not, we're either attracting what we want or what we don't want. Unfortunately, this brain of ours, this beautiful pain in the, can I say ASS?
You can. You're allowed.
Beautiful pain in the ass that we carry inside of our cranium. It's always focusing on what's wrong, on potential dangers, right? And because of that, we tend to attract more often than not what we don't want. So, and this all comes from an unhealed space. I've seen it happen very many times. The work that I do is very simple. I heal the masculine so that the masculine can heal the feminine. So I have an inherent love and appreciation for that feminine energy, and I recognize where that pain is coming from. So when this beautiful young lady steps into a bathroom, takes half of her clothes off, takes a picture of herself, and looks up a empowerment quote, more often than not, there's nothing empowering behind the act. The quote is used to justify the scarcity from which the act originates from, the pain, right? Because social proof, we like to lie to our.
You froze. He froze right in the middle. Okay, he'll come back. I have no doubt. Wait, you froze, right? You froze. Like.
Oh, okay. You know when I start, I don't stop. What's the last thing you heard?
You were talking about how the quote is powerful, but it comes from an impowerful place.
Yeah. And that's just used to justify the act, but it's coming from a place of scarcity, because somebody who inherently knows their worth isn't going to play this game of cat and mouse where I post a seductive photograph that I then, you know, just randomly Google a quote, attach it on, and then feign shock and appallment, if that's even a word, when I receive the negative attention that subconsciously I'm seeking.
Right.
You know, Same thing with men, right? Because again, you want to talk about you said we're interconnected, right?
Yeah.
Just because the hurt woman is seeking validation, the healed man isn't going to give it to her in that way. The healed man doesn't view a woman based on the areas that other men have used for sexual gratification. We understand that women are so much deeper than that. You know, I would not be who I am if not for the incredible women that surround me, you included. So we have this interconnectedness. When that man sees when that hurt man sees that hurt woman's post, and he decides, right? Because what is a decision? A decision is to cut yourself off of any other outcome other than what you decided.
Right.
Unfortunately, most of our decisions are unconscious and they come from a place of pain, unfortunately. So a man has a very important decision to make there, and he can create his own ripple effect. Do I validate this? Do I objectify this woman and in turn confirm in her mind what her worth is and where it's based on? Or do I comment on something entirely different? I don't even allude to her physical beauty or anything that has to do with her body. What am I teaching her in that moment? She doesn't have to show anything to be worthy of love and attention and validation. She's a woman. She has to show up. Right. And that's it. And that's what I wish the healed woman understood. And that's what I wish that's what I wish the unhealed woman understood. And that's what I wish the unhealed man would do. Because our energies are complementary.
Yes.
They can heal each other.
We have had these conversations of you have to have, we're so primitive. Like we're just these primitive beings living this complex life, right? Like we talked about the chaos within the simplicity of it. But that right there, your explanation it's almost like the secret code, the secret success to having successful relationships, right? But like, again, it started here. You got to heal you so that you can have that, because those two people that you described are exactly the two people that come to me and say, why does this keep happening to me?
Yeah.
It's, when we are repeating our same habits, when we are repeating our same mindsets, we are going to continuously get the same results with different faces around us, with different environments around us. Yeah. There will be no. So it's the lesson here is not you particularly, but if you want to change anything, you have to change your own ripple.
Yeah.
Because it will no longer attract the same thing. That's why they say misery loves company, right? Isn't that why? It's because you know what you know.
And so does love and success, by the way.
Right. So, yes. Why aren't there like little fun quotes that are for love and success? Why is it misery loves company? We need
I'm going to tell you why.
Why?
Because you were probably meant to create that book. Just saying, I'm just planting that seed. Just put that out there. Do with it what you will.
You and your seeds. If you tell me something within a week, you're going to get it.
I know that. Quantum manifester.
That's how it happens here as we go. All right, so let's look back at you personally. I mean, I look back at me, and when we talk, and I can say like, whoa, those things had to have happened to get me here. And I can see myself as I sit today as a little girl. Like I can see me. It didn't show up the same way. It was probably just a little like smidget of sand in there, but I can see myself. Can you see where, I mean, you are so full of love and so full of life. And I know you haven't always been this way, but can you look back and be like, oh, there was this sprinkle, because we are all made beautiful. We are
Yeah.
all made in his eye. So we can't be destructive because that just, it doesn't comprehend. It's not a comprehensible thing.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about that? Like, can you give an example of where you, in your chaos, what looked like chaos and misery,
Yeah.
which we all know it was just learning and creating and molding. Could you see a little piece of you?
Absolutely. I love what you said when you said that you can see you as a little girl. It's funny how the you that you are now is so radically different from the you that you were then, but they're both the same you. That's just astonishing. And I think that a trap that a lot of people fall into is, and again, everything, I just want to preface this by saying everything that I've said thus far, it's not because I'm smart. It's because I've made all these mistakes. You know, I wish it was that I was this enlightened guru. No, I've just made every single damn mistake a human being can make. You know, I've learned through pain. So one of the mistakes that we make is that we look at the version of who we are, and if for better or worse, if we don't like it, we want to make this radical change. And there's nothing wrong with changing. We live in a world that is in a constant perpetual flux. Everything is changing and evolving and growing and dying. That's the circle of life.
Yeah.
You know, cue Lion King song. So
I won't say.
so so we one of the biggest mistakes that we can make in this case is wanting to kill off a version of who we were, right? Because again, pain comes from violation. Violation comes in two ways. When somebody else violates us, either with our permission or absent our permission, right? And again, you want to talk about an unconscious violation. Any kind of physical or sexual abuse is an unconscious violation, right? Because you didn't ask for it.
Mm-hmm.
A conscious violation is when you say, you know what? I know this relationship is bad for me. I know that this toxic, this toxic human being just takes and belittles and breaks down and doesn't build up in any way. But I'm going to stay anyway. I know it's happening, but I'm going to let it happen. And then there's the most painful one, which is the one that we seldom want to face. And that is when we come to the realization and the understanding that our actions, our thoughts, our habits have all been us consciously violating ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't control what other people do, but I have a survival instinct. I want to live. I want to thrive. Every human being does. So ultimate pain comes from the violation of the self because it goes against life in the most primal and spiritual way.
Yeah.
So I look back at that kid who was me. And I only speak about this because I've done years of inner child work and trauma work. When we suppress the version of ourselves that we hate the most, we are creating a ticking time bomb.
Mm-hmm.
And because, again, interconnectedness, we're not meant to focus on what's separate. We're not meant to focus on our differences. We're not meant to just detach ourselves from ourselves. We're supposed to make peace with and heal and integrate, not separate.
Yeah.
Right? Because then you're a facet. You're not the diamond. And if you're just a facet, where's the worth? I've never seen a woman go in a jewelry store and say, "Hi, can I buy a facet of a diamond?" No, I want the whole diamond because that is the value.
Yeah.
Not the separation, the integration of every single aspect of who you were, what you did, grow through it, heal through it, accept it, embrace it. We reject it because it's so painful.
Mm.
You know, it's painful when prior to doing all this work, when I would think about, you know, the fact that I've been molested twice in my life. by an older man when I was about 5 years old, and then by an older woman when I was about 8 years old, right? It's difficult to make sense of that and to try to rationalize it. And the road to insanity is where you attempt to rationalize the irrational.
Mm.
When you try to make sense of what's senseless, you're going to drive yourself crazy every time. Because there is no justification. But you know what? In lieu of separating yourself and rejecting that injured part of you, because that's what you perceive as your inherent weakness, and as males, this is something that we need to understand a little bit more than women, because women are more emotionally in tune, intelligent, and supported, whereas men are not. So men don't have the permission, or the freedom, I should say, because we're deliberate here with the way that we speak. Men have opted not to grant themselves the permission to be open and to heal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reality. But when we grant ourselves that permission to heal, to understand, to be open, to be vulnerable, to explore this part of our life that we shut down, because heaven forbid I open that door and that hurt, scared, abused, belittled little boy runs out and jumped into my arms, and I become him. I'm 30 years old now, and I have that fear of being abused and victimized. It's easier not to open that door.
Right.
But I virtually guarantee you, the way that you relate to women will forever change for the better the moment that you open that door.
Keep going.
I'm here. The moment that you open that door, you face what's inside. But I don't just mean face, because face has a combative connotation to it. Just because you're a man doesn't mean you have to fight. Mind you, this is coming from somebody who's been in combat sports for 23 years. Just because you're a man doesn't mean you have to fight. So in lieu of just facing what's behind that door, what if you embrace what's behind that door? Because that little boy doesn't need fighting. That little girl behind that door doesn't need to be fought with. They need to be embraced and held and protected and nurtured.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult, but once you understand that, these are both aspects of you, but who you are now in the present has tools that who you were didn't have. And if you integrate that younger version of you into the present version of you, integration, acceptance, healing, love, forgiveness, forgive yourself for what not just happened to you, but for belittling yourself and berating yourself and not honoring yourself throughout the whole course of your life.
Right.
You know, I love that little boy. I love that little boy. I do anything to protect him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when we bring that energy instead of shame, the game changes radically, powerfully.
It is, and I understand the concept of the fear of it all, and I also understand the concept when we do let all of those pains out and all of those pieces of us out, we're coming at it from we're not that age anymore with that experience anymore. You're coming at it from a different angle. We have to also remember that you are given that, and you were also given everything after that, so that you can go back and be strong enough to look at it and accept it.
Amen.
Yes. I have to say, there's so many people out there saying, where'd you go? There you are. That are just saying, oh, you're gone again. There you are. You're like peekaboo. Peekaboo, Mark Anthony. Your screen went on and off. Okay, are you back?
I'm having audio issues here for
You were
some
like
reason. I don't know
flashing on and off for a second. We'll wait till he gets back on, because I want him to hear this. Are you there? The look in his eyes says no.
I can't hear you for some reason. It's the
You
weirdest
can't
thing.
hear me? Oh, crap, because I have to ask you the most important question.
I'm trying to.
I
can't. The audio died on my end for some reason.
Oh, shit. Okay, hold on. Yeah, hold on. I'm going to text you. This is how we work. What? I'm going to text him the question. What does love, I'm not going to mean to you in
These
this
technical difficulties, they happen. It's
moment.
so fun.
Okay. I texted you. Let's see if that works, if he gets my text. Because this is one of those questions that I ask everybody. What does love mean to you in this moment? Hopefully he
Perfect.
gets
I can hear you now.
Oh, you can? Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Then ignore that text. Okay. Whew. Ignore that text. I want to tell you there's a lot of people on here. Duke, he's like, you are so articulate. He gave you a thumbs up. So much good content that, everyone is loving what you're saying and really embracing it. And on Instagram, because we're on Instagram here. So a lot of people. So thank you. So my last question, because we did go over, because I couldn't have
Because
it.
we're us. That's right.
And I'm glad I did good about going over just a smidge. But
Yeah.
in this moment right now, as you sit here in this conversation and in this state of mind, what does love mean to Mark Anthony?
Love means having the courage to go into the parts of you that you have rejected and that you have hated the most, facing them and realizing that when you feel the least worthy is when you are in fact the most worthy. By mere existence, you are worthy of happiness, of love, of compassion, not just as the receiver, but as a perpetuator. That's what love is to me right now.
Right now. I love it. I love that question so much. Well, one is that it changes. Like I could answer it every day and it changes in each moment. That's when I'm like, right now, don't give me some generic BS like love's great and you feel happy and joyful.
That your face never lies. I love that. It's so authentic. It's like, get out of here with that.
This is stupid.
Yeah.
But thank you so much. Thank you for sharing
Absolutely.
your heart,
My
your
pleasure.
soul, coming on here and
for having me.
being you and in my life. And yes. And until next time, love hard and love deep and love pure. And I will see you the next time I'm in Miami.
Woo! Can't wait.
Yes. Bye-bye.